Hey guys, and welcome back to the Ginger Realtor Show. It is Talking Point Tuesday, and this week we have Matt Merenoff from the Real Estate Recovery Group. Matt, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
Now, guys, you might remember Matt from the Virginia series. He was very kind to come on and talk about his business. But I think now is more of a time that we need to talk about it than ever before. I know that interest rates and things like that have been pushing people out of the market. But let's talk about that from the flip side, from those people who are in real danger of losing their home because COVID happened and then they had to we sort things out post-COVID in a not favorable market.
Yeah, so I mean, look, and just to make it easy for the people that follow you, homeowners during COVID, there was, I guess, two types of situations that were going on. One, where people could not pay their mortgage, and then there's other people that could pay their mortgage but didn't pay their mortgage, not really realizing what the repercussions could be. What the difference between a forbearance is and the difference between um oh my God, I can't even think of the word.
We're having a brain fart.
Deferment.
Okay.
Deferment or forbearance. The forbearance is where you could have it where you can go a couple of months at a clip, and then you'd have to try to figure out a way to pay the difference of that money along with your regular mortgage payment. If your payment's $1,000 a month and you haven't paid your mortgage in 6 months, they're going to want you to pay $1,000 on top of your regular mortgage for 6 months.
Yeah, so
If
let
it's
me just jump in because I had a real world situation the back end of last year. I had a young couple who were program software developers. They worked for the same company. They lost their job and were working on their savings and weren't able to pay. I sat down with them and went over their options with them. They spoke with their bank, and their bank said, okay, you've got until, I think it was end of January of this year, to catch up with your mortgage and be 100%, or we'll take the next step. Now, they were both fortunate. They were both able to pick up jobs that gave them sign-on bonuses and were able to clear that. But they said they don't know what they would have done if they'd not had that conversation with somebody who said, look, talk to the bank, see what they can do.
right. Yeah, so if you're not in that situation where you can get bonus money or you can pull money out of your 401k, or if you don't have a relative that has, extremely deep pockets, it really puts you in a bad situation. If you can't pay the rearage of what you owe, and a lot of people were put into mortgages where their interest rates were pretty low, 3.5%, 4%. Now the interest rate, I'm talking about people before COVID. Now you've got people going out of COVID, the forbearance period being over, and now, the interest rates are in the sevens, and people are freaking out because they can't make their payment. They can't modify their mortgage to stay in their house. Those are distressed homeowners, and those people are out there, and they need people like us that want to help provide solutions. Some have a lot of equity in their property. Some of them might not have equity in their property. Whereas if they did a modification, let's say 10 years ago, and they have, a silent second, they call it a partial claim, and that money is laying dormant. There's no interest rate on it. There's no monthly payment. But when you go to sell the property, that has to be satisfied. So if you take that and you haven't paid in 2 years during the COVID period, you might have sucked up all the equity that you might have in your house. Now you're in a real jam.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope that anyone who's bought in the last 5 years, with the way that prices have increased, would have enough equity in their property, even if they're struggling right now, to not have to worry about short sale. But that's not everybody. I mean, I was watching your website on Facebook the other week, and you had the guy who hadn't paid his mortgage in 17 years.
Correct.
That one blew me away.
It blew me away. And it blew me away even more that the guy was getting mad at me because I'm trying to find out what had happened. What did he do that didn't work? And what could we do moving forward to try to help him? And clearly he was very upset. And I said, well, I guess you don't want my help. You're giving up, after 17 years. I mean, that's one hell of a run. you're staying in a house, you're literally getting kids through preschool, through high school, literally through college, and you didn't pay a mortgage?
That's
Mazel
more than
tov.
half the mortgage term.
You could write a book on that.
Yeah, I'm like, I can't work out how nobody at the mortgage company, whoever owned the loan, and they went, been a while. How have we not got the money from this dude?
You also got to question what type of loan it was, how the loan was written, do they have the actual collateral paperwork? Is it considered one of those scratch and dent loans where maybe they just couldn't file, foreclose on the guy, and then maybe they, found paperwork that they needed to find over a course of period of time. Maybe they filed for a lost note affidavit. The list goes on. But the majority of people that I deal with on a daily basis, when I start talking about stuff like that, it's like they think I'm speaking a foreign language.
No, and that's the sad thing. I think a lot of these people that we speak to, and again, last year I took the SFR, which is a short sale foreclosure resource through NAR, so I could understand this information better, so I could give better information when I'm talking. But most people are so scared by the time they need to speak to someone like myself or yourself about the whole process that they think that sticking their head in the sand is going to work and keep them, and like it's going to like some magical fairy is going to grant them, okay, you're good, we're good now, and just pick up where you missed off. But that's not the case. And the longer, I think what people don't realize is once that list pendants has been sought after and obtained, you're on a ticking clock to losing your home. Whether
Right.
that's a 3 month, 6 month, 17-year time bomb waiting to go off.
I try to explain people uh, in great detail so they understand what their options are. People ask me why I have such a high percentage rate when I'm talking to people that are in distress. It's pretty simple. How I'm speaking to you right now is how I speak to them. There's no there's no has, there's no let me check, let me review. Everything I know is right in my head. So for me, like, people need to understand what their options are. And nobody that I speak with that usually speaks with these homeowners explain, you know, either one, the options, or say to them to put them at ease. Because let's face it, you're delinquent on your mortgage. You're getting the phone calls, you're getting the emails, you're getting the text messages, you're getting the postcards, you're getting the door knockers, you're getting all that stuff. Nobody is saying, are you looking for options? Are you looking for options, Mr. Homeowner, Mrs. Homeowner? And it's really that simple. You will change the direction of that conversation and the tone immediately. But no one wants to really, like, I guess, take the time. It's like cooking a steak. You're either gonna cook it raw or you're gonna overcook it. You got to be in the middle, and you got to be 100% every single time. You got to have a satisfied customer. If
So
you don't,
anyone who didn't pick up on that, Matt likes his steaks medium. So if you ever take him out for dinner, now you know.
medium well, actually.
Oh,
Yeah,
Matthew, no.
sorry, I don't like any blood dripping.
It's
But
not blood. That's the first thing you gotta realize.
it's disgusting. It looks like blood. Not
Okay.
interested. Anyway, and and I'm not a cheap date either. I like lobster tails. But the people that I speak with, I I try to explain to them so simple, so easy. I don't try to overeducate, and I listen. One of the biggest gripes I get from people that reach out to me off of social media and find me and say, I've got real estate agents. All they're doing is yammering and talking in my ear. I said, it'd be great if they actually listen to you, right? And they go, right? I said, wouldn't it be great to have a listing agent actually come instead of doing a listing presentation, offer a listening presentation and listen to what it is that you need? Because money is not always the motivating factor in this.
No, and it was actually following your things and talking with you previously, and obviously having you on the podcast last year that changed the way of working. I kind of that mentality of seeking with that seek to serve mentality works so much better. So now when I make, look, I'm as guilty as any realtor out there. I do target short sale pre-foreclosure clients, but not in the same way that my colleagues do. For me,
Right.
I would rather come to your house, sit down with you, go over your options and find out what you want. Look, do you even want to save the house? Before I start giving you options and ways to be able to save things, do you even want to save it? Like at one point, this was your dream home. You decided to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on this thing. Do you still want it? And once I know they want it, then okay, well, what can we do to save it? And
Right.
that's where we'll have the conversation. Okay, look, can you enter into forbearance? Can you take a secondary loan? Can you do a loan modification? Do you have someone who can loan you the money? Can you get your 401k out? Okay. If not, okay, well now we need to speak with your bank and take a look at what the options your bank can provide. Have you done that yet? And I don't talk about listing that home, which flies completely in the face of what you would expect from a real estate agent. You'd
Correct.
expect a real estate agent to be like, okay, well, look, we can sell your house. Its current market value is 500,000. You paid 320 for it. There's going to be loads of equity. And no, you've got to understand how far behind are you. It's not just how much money are you missing, but what are the penalty payments on that? If they've got list pendants, now there's attorney fees to pay on top of that as well. So you've got to understand what they owe before you can even address what they're doing next.
Correct.
And the way I look at it is between my expireds, between my FISBOs, my new clients, my farming, I build enough business, and my obviously buying age as well. I build enough business to be able to do a part of my business that allows me to give back. So I'm quite happy to go and meet with a couple, explain their options, and help them out of a bind, rather than try and just foreclose the house, short sale the house from them. Now, we had this conversation when I was with a big hot air balloon looking company in Virginia. We went through a pre-foreclosure kind of short sale seminar, which was purely a predatory training session on how to sell these homes. And I was so disgusted that I very quickly became an ex-agent of that branch.
Mm.
Look, if you're in a situation right now where you don't have the money to pay your mortgage, you're worried where your next mortgage is going to pay, you're worried about the knock on the door and the sheriff comes to kick you out, talk to somebody. Have a look on the NAR website. You can find agents who have gone through the short sale foreclosure training, who know and understand the process, who can provide you with some counseling. If that doesn't work, you've got Matt. Matt's with the Real Estate Resource Group. We'll have his contact information that's there on the other side of this little ginger realtor dude. He'll be there. We'll have his contact information in the if you look at this on YouTube, then in the comment section, I've got his link tree. So you've got nowhere you can't get in touch with this guy. But the one thing you have to do is talk to somebody. It's the last thing you want to do. I'm sure, Matt, I'm sure that you've spoken with thousands of people who really don't want to open up and tell you the issues, but need to.
The worst thing you can do is if you have a family and you bury your head in the sand. You know, if it's just you by yourself and you want to go down like the Titanic and it's only you, that's fine if you want to do it. I don't advise it because of what it does to your credit and especially credibility when you're trying to rent the place. But when you have a family in place, you know, obviously, you know, it can be very distraught to the children. My wife was 17 years old, away at college, thinking she had a place to go to come back to after, you know, her first semester, full year of college. They lost a house to auction, and it's different. Every state's different. So they did an actual auction at the house. People were walking through it. They had a dumpster in the driveway. She got the phone call at 2:30 in the morning. I know next week are finals. We're losing the house. It's going to auction. Nothing we can do to save it. If you want your belongings, you got to come home and get it. Otherwise, it's going to be thrown in a dumpster. Your father and I are getting a divorce. Your dog died. I mean, it was like layer after layer after layer of disaster. At the end of the day, you try to show people what you can do. My mother-in-law said, "Hey, I wish I had someone like you back then. Worst case scenario, I could have been, I could have spoke with you. You maybe could have educated myself and my